Hey everybody, Tim Norris here, aka GreyElephant, and welcome to a live play going solo live play by GreyElephant Gaming. Now today I'm going to be playing Meteor by Mayday Games. They sent this to me about, I don't know, 2 months ago. It's been sitting on my shelf. I kept meaning to bust it out. Finally I got around to doing it, and it took me a little while to try to figure out some of the rules because they're a little wacky. But now that I got everything, I think, figured out, I want to show you guys how the solo variant works in this game. Now, what's interesting about this is that the solo variant's not really that different than if you were playing with another player. If you're playing with another player, you only get one launch pad, which means that you can only launch one rocket or work on one type of a technology at a time. But when you're playing a solo game, you get two launch pads, which means you could be launching two rockets or working on two technologies at the same time. So that'll make much more sense. Why don't I just get into the game and I'll explain to you how it works, and then you guys will be like, oh, that's what he's talking about. Alright, so let's talk about how we got the game set up here. First off, these are the meteors. These are coming down to Earth and they're going to destroy us, and I need to destroy them before they reach Earth. The only thing I know about these meteors at this moment, because these cards are face down, is that they range between these values in power. So basically, like this meteor here is a 3 to 5 power, so it's going to take me a 3 to 5 power rocket to be able to destroy it, but I don't know what type yet until I launch a rocket at it. So for instance, if I launch a 3 rocket at it and I flip it over and it's a 5 value meteor, then basically I just wasted a rocket because it can't destroy it. So I have to launch a 5, but then the card will stay face up. It's got a little lightning bolt here on this one. This is kind of a tough draw, to be honest with you. I'm kind of shocked with how miserable I drew my meteors. This little lightning bolt means that if ever the countdown gets down to 1, and if this meteor's still up, then I'm going to lose. I got to get rid of this one before I get to the 1, and I'll explain how I get to the 1 in just a second. So the values tell you kind of what you need of size of rocket to be able to destroy. And let's say if I did launch a 3 rocket, and if I flip this over, and if it is a 3, then I got lucky and I did destroy it. This one here takes a 7. This would take a 1 to 3. The thing is, there's only the most powerful rocket is a 5, and in the solo game you get 2 launch pads. In a regular game, you're only going to get one launch pad, which means that you have to work with your partner to be able to destroy a 7 meteor. In my case, being a solo game, that means I'm going to have to launch like a 3 and a 4 rocket or a 2 and a 5 rocket to be able to destroy this one, because I do get 2 launch pads. And launching rockets and all that jazz, you can only have 1 rocket per launch pad. So, you know, you can't prepare a bunch of rockets in 1 launch pad and launch them off. No, you can only have 1 for each, and that can make things a little bit more complicated. This is the timer. So what I do is I have 5 little sand hourglasses here. They're each 1 minute hourglass. 1 minute hourglasses. That makes perfect sense, right? They're 1 minute sand timers, okay? And what I do is I'll flip one over. Whenever it runs out of sand, then that timer goes away, and then we count down. If I get to the 1, and I have not and then the sand timer runs out after 1, and I have not destroyed all these meteors, then I lose the game, and Earth is destroyed, and I'm sorry. Forgive me. These cards over here, this is the deck I'll be going through the most. All these other ones, I just wanted to show you. This is the extra deck of Meteor cards. Basically, I just shuffle these together and I deal them out. I have no idea what these are yet. But there's a whole nother stack of them here. I mean, this is, you see there's a ton of meteors. And speaking of meteors, this is a little variant you could play with boss meteors, and they're like super powerful and they do like extra little damage and stuff like that. But I'm not going to play with those because they're not necessary. These are extra challenge cards that could possibly say you can't do this or you can't do that. I don't feel like it's necessary for the solo play to show this game off. These are like power-up cards that you can deal out to people, where maybe it gives them, like, well, for instance, an extra launch pad or something like that. Not necessary. And these are just extra key cards, which I have the key cards out here. I'm probably not going to have to refer to them anymore because I've looked at them so much. Alright, so let's talk about how do I actually play the game. Well, what happens in a solo game, I get 10 energy cards. And I'm going to use these energy cards to be able to launch the rockets at these meteors to be able to destroy them. Now, there's 3 different types of things you could do in your launch pad. One of them is that you could put a rocket there, and then come up. For instance, let's just show you this. Like this rocket here is a 1-power rocket, and it requires this little red flask in order to launch it. So as kind of like one of my uses of my launch pad, I could say, okay, I'm going to set up this rocket to launch. And 1-value rockets are kind of good for exploratory because you could say, well, I'm just going to shoot this at that just to turn the card over, and at least now I know the value of it. But you got to keep in mind, you're also wasting resources to do that with, so it's not super wise. So like if I wanted to launch this rocket, I could plop down the necessary energy. That launches the rocket go boom. So that's one of the actions I can do with my launch pad. Another thing I can do with my launch pad is that I can try to build a technology, which I don't have any technologies in my hand right now, but there's different technologies in the deck that I'll probably draw. In the solo game, there's only one technology that I'm looking for, and that's the spy satellite or whatever it is, because it lets me flip over all these, and then I know the values of these cards. So all the other ones I'm probably just going to trash. They got a little trash can up in the corner, and that'll allow me to draw a new card. The other thing you can do is retrofit. Now, retrofit means that you are going to take... Now there are 4 different types of elements, I guess you could say. I only got 2 in my hand at the start of the game, but there are 4 different types. You can either discard 4 of the same type and draw 5 cards to replace it, or 4 different types and draw 5 cards to replace it. Okay? The same go with rockets and their values. Notice I've got a 1, a 3, and another 1, unfortunately. So not a super good... In fact, this is a pretty crappy draw right off the bat, to be honest with you. So either you have all of the same value rockets, or you have 4 different value rockets. And you can discard them and then draw 5 cards to replace them with. So real simple, okay? Now, each time this changes over... I get to draw 2 cards out of the deck and automatically get those in my hand. That's what this here implies. It's depending on the number of players each time you do a zone change, because this is supposed to be like zones. Right now they're in space. Oh goodness, they're in our stratosphere. Oh goodness, they're in the sky. They're in the sky. Oh, they're overhead. We're all gonna die. So anyways, that's gonna kind of keep track of where they're at and all that jazz. So all right. That's pretty much it. So it's going to be pretty fast. It's going to be pretty frantic. Unfortunately, after looking at my first few cards here, I'm not going to be able to do much of anything, but I'll show you what happens when you get kind of stuck in a situation like that. So, all right, are you ready? So what I do right off of the start of the game, before I even start the timer, is I like to set my cards out and I say, okay, here's kind of what I got in front of me, because otherwise you get a lot of cards in your hand, and it can kind of get hard to keep track of them because I like to retrofit an awful lot. That was the deal where I was telling you where you discard the cards to draw more cards. But in this case, unfortunately, I am not going to be able to do much in the very first round because I don't have a chance to retrofit. Now, I could do a weak rocket shot just to test out one of these, but I don't know if I'm going to do that, to be honest with you. So now I've got my cards set out. I kind of have a general idea of what I've got in front of me. I now will plan out the game, and let's just get started. So right off the bat, we're going to flip over the timer. Now I'm going to have plenty of time in this first round if I want to explain things, because unfortunately I cannot retrofit, because I would need 4 of the same value rockets, which I don't have, or I would need 4 different types of rockets, which once again I don't have, because I got 2 1s, 2 3s, and 2 4s. It's a terrible draw at the start of the game. And the same with my elements. Unfortunately, I have 2 and 2. I mean, this is horrible. So what I do in this case is I just say pass. And if I pass, then that means we're just going to go to the next level, and then I get to draw 2 cards and add them to my hand. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pass. I'm going to draw 2 cards. We're going to move this to the 4. 1 minute has then basically passed, and bam, we're to our next timer. Let's see. All right, so this time we did get enough here. So I'm going to retrofit, and I'm going to spend all 4 of these, and I'm going to draw 5 cards to replace. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so now I've got 4 of these 3 cards. I got 2 of those. I'm going to get rid of all 4 of these, and I'm going to retrofit again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see. Let's set out our stuff here. We've got a 5-er. We've got a 2-er. I do not want this. This is what I was talking about, the technology. I'm going to trash that, and I get to draw a card to replace it with. All right, so I got an additional 2. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this and this. That's 4 different kinds. That gives me 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so I don't want the mystery plant. Let's draw a new one to replace that. Okay, so blam, blam. I've got 3 4s. I really wish I could have found that spy satellite. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this. 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, another minute's done. Boom. Let's go to the next thing. That gets me 2 cards as well. And I also get rid of that because I'm going to retrofit. I'm going to draw 5 new cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spy satellite. That's exactly what I was looking for. So we are going to put this in our launch pad. We want to build the spy satellite. I do not want this. I want to draw a new one to replace that. So this is going to require a beaker and a looks like a little mine. I don't know. And I have not found a mine yet, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to keep digging for that. Let's see, a 4 and a beaker. I'm going to get rid. No, let's get rid of 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. We're going to get rid of these. They're all different. And we're going to draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That was what I needed right there. So we're going to put that up there, put that up there. We built the spy satellite. We're going to get rid of those 2 cards. Now we get to flip all these over and we get to see what they are. Okay, so I've got a 3, a 2, a 3, and a 4. So now I know the values of the meteors that I need to destroy. Okay, let's see. I'm going to get rid of all 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. They all match. I got rid of that. Okay, we're down to number 2. Oh, God, this is getting bad. Flip that over. So I get 2 cards automatically because we changed the zones. Plus I get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shoot, shoot, shoot. That first hand was so bad that I just do not think I'm going to ever be able to recover. Okay, so let's see. We need to get rid of this one like right now, ASAP. So let's launch a rocket at it. We are going to put that in the pad. We're going to spend the 2 ingredients necessary to launch it. Launch! Boom! You're out of here. And I killed the timers at the same time. Yes! Okay, so let's see. I'm going to get rid of these 4 here. Let's draw 5 more cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we can still do this. We can still do this. Put a 2 here, put a 3 here. Okay, let's see what we got here, all right? I need a 5 rocket, which I do not have. A 4 and a 3. I could possibly destroy this one. Let's see. I've got the 3 necessary for that. I've got the 2 necessary for that. Launch! Boom! That's 2 down. Okay. Let's see here. I gotta get rid of this 2, or I don't need to do that yet. Let's get rid of 1. Let's get rid of 2. Let's get rid of 3. And let's get rid of 4. Bam! We're down to our last card, and I've got a lot of stuff to do. 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, come on. Don't need that. Trash it. Draw a new one. Gonna get rid of all 4 of these. Draw 5 new ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a 5. Damn. Okay. All right, so if you send up a rocket that's too powerful, and you destroy a meteor with that super powerful rocket, then it causes all the other meteors to charge at you. You don't want to do that. I'm going to destroy this tour. Yeah, bam! You're out of here. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so a 4. I've got the that and that. We'll destroy the 4. Bam! Get out of here. So all I got left is that one. We'll send up this 4 rocket. Bam! Even though I had a crappy hand at the beginning of the game, I still was able to pull it out. That was close, though. That was really close. This is the most important card that you want to dig for. The Spy Satellite lets you take a look at him, but as you can see, not much time in the very last round before all humanity would have been doomed. That was some fast cards. Now, if you run out of cards out of your deck, or out of the draw pile, that's it. You're done. So you got to be real careful about spending these resource cards too frivolously, and then not having enough to be able to destroy the last few satellites. But, all right, hey, hopefully that gave you guys a great understanding on how this game plays. I know I get a little excited here, but, you know, come on, man. I'm defending Earth. I should get excited about that, right? BAM! You gotta show those meteors who's boss, man. Knock them back up into space. Hey, I don't think any meteors are ever gonna threaten Earth again after the whooping I put on these meteors. That's all I'm saying. Get a little excited when I play a game like this. That's how timer games work, man. They get your blood pumping through your body, and you're like, oh my god, it's a race. And then when you succeed, you're like, yeah, you know, and that's what this game is about. It really gets you excited. It gets you caught up, you know. You're trying to get the right card combos to be able to come up with the exact values you need to be able to destroy the meteors. And oh my god, that spy satellite is so important. I mean, even, you know, not just the solo game, I mean, in any, because I could be wasting rockets and resources just trying to, you know, guess at what the values of these meteors are, and if I fail, because here's the thing, if you launch, say if the meteor is only it's a 3 to 5, and if you launch a 5 and you flip that over and it's a 3, well, what happens is that, yeah, you'll destroy that meteor. That's great. But it's called like an overkill or something like that. And what it does is it pushes all the other meteors down, which means you lose your sand. Whatever time was left in it, you lose that. You flip over the next card, so like if you was on a 4, it goes down to a 3, and you flip over the next timer. So you don't want to get too careless on what type of meteors you're sending. That's why the 1 values are good to try to, test it out, just explore and see what the meteors are. But that spy satellite, man, invaluable card. All right, let's talk about the game. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this. As a solo game, this is a lot of fun. And it's not too different when you play with another player, with the exception you're not allowed to talk. That's what's cool. When you're playing with one other player, no communication between the two of you, unless you get the communication center. Then once you get the communication center, then you can talk amongst each other, because typically you don't play with all your cards face up like what I did. In the solo game, it doesn't matter. But when you're playing with another player, all your cards are hidden from the other player. Even though you're working together to try to destroy the meteors, and you can play resources from your hand onto your opponent's rockets and stuff to try to launch them, you're not allowed to talk unless you get that communication relay center. So it becomes really tough, because you're like, and you're trying to make these gestures, and you just sound like a bunch of chimpanzees. I mean, that's really ultimately what it does. We de-evolve very quickly. I like this game, though, an awful lot. I think it's a lot of fun. Like I said, the rules were a little wonky, a little difficult to understand. But once you get past that, you kind of understand how the game works, man, it really comes alive. And that racing element, trying to battle the time, God, that's so much fun. You can add the challenges, which can take things away from you. You deal 1 challenge to each player at the beginning of the game, and it takes something away from you. Plus you have like the power-up cards. I don't remember exactly what they're called. You can do one of those to each player, which will give you like sometimes it's just like a one-time bonus that'll allow each player to draw like a card or something else. I mean, give yourself an extra launch pad, things like that. Because typically when you're playing with multiple players, you only get the 1 launch pad. But when you're playing solo, that's the only time you're going to get 2 launch pads, unless you get that power-up card. There are boss meteors that you could add to the, meteor field that, like, maybe they require 11 damage to be able to destroy, which, truthfully, in a solo game, that's not even possible. So, what are you going to do, right? That's why I didn't want to play with those, because I was afraid that if I randomly selected one, I'd probably flip that 11, and my rockets only go to 5 power, so yeah, when you're playing by yourself, yep, you're just going to lose. You can't beat that one. Other than that, hey man, a lot of fun game. Thanks to Mayday for Mayday for sending this to me. I really appreciate it, because I think I'm going to hang on to this one and wait to probably teach my boy how to play. I think he'd like this one an awful lot. So, all right, hey, that's going to wrap up this video. Check out our other ones. Probably going to be doing some more solo live plays. Plus, Carmen's going to be joining me on a few others that we've talked about, and look forward to them popping up. And until then, I will talk to you later. Bye bye.